I took a quick small break from my time at the Brisbane International Film Festival to check out the latest film from Jason Reitman, Saturday Night, and I want to talk about it with you guys, so let's get into it. So, Saturday Night is a film about the 90 minutes of chaos that led up to the very first episode of Saturday Night Live, a show that has gone on for 50 seasons now and is a huge juggernaut in the entertainment industry, or at least it was a few decades ago. Jason Reitman really puts you into the shoes of Lorne Michaels, played by Gabrielle LaBelle, who does an incredibly phenomenal job in the lead role here. He was just so great to follow as he's navigating all of these chaotic moments, from lighting rigs getting destroyed to people doing drugs, people not signing contracts. It is just absolute chaos, and he just has to find a way to navigate all of it so that they can get on the air and make that first Saturday Night Live and make it become the cultural phenomenon it is now. I think it is an interesting film and an entertaining one with very smooth camera work, just incredible cinematography here, as well as a real display of fantastic editing. This film does seamlessly jump from one character to the next, and the way it does it, it just feels so effortless and smooth that you're just along for the ride here. And it does feel very stressful in the first hour or so of this film, as it just keeps getting more and more stressful and more chaotic. And at times, I did feel like that could be to the detriment of this film, because it felt like it was sitting in that chaos for a little bit too long without actually giving me anything to chew on. And there were moments where I was questioning, why do I really need to see this, apart from it being this display of everything that can go wrong does go wrong in this build-up, and also just following these icons in SNL history. I didn't really see the point in all of it until it does start hammering home a very clear message that I thought was profound enough and carried it through until the end of its runtime. And I thought it made for a great film overall, even if there were a couple of moments where I wasn't really understanding why we needed to see this. Apart from a nice technical showcase, some very stressful moments, but because it's jumping from one character to the next, you get a little bit of each great member of this ensemble. I don't think there's any weak links in this massive cast here. Gabrielle LaBelle is clearly the lead to me, but you also see some really great performances from Cooper Hoffman. I loved the performance from Willem Dafoe. He was probably one of my favorites in the entire ensemble, maybe even my favorite. I did like the performance from J.K. Simmons and the amazing scene he had with Corey Michael Smith as Chevy Chase. I thought he was fantastic in that role. I mean, it just goes on and on. I really liked Rachel Sennett in her role, and I cannot forget Nicholas Braun playing two characters here. One that was absolutely hilarious with perfect comedic timing and did add a lot of levity to a lot of the stress that is going on. I also really want to highlight the amazing score from John Baptiste. This feels very much like the music that you would hear in the opening of a Saturday Night Live that you would hear even today, but it does have some jazzy elements that are very in tune with John Baptiste's music. And as a fan of John Baptiste's music, I was obviously a fan of this score. I thought it worked to the benefit of the film. In a lot of ways, I actually thought that this film would benefit a lot from being one of those movies that look like it's done in one take, because that's what it feels like. The film is roughly 90 to 100 minutes long, and we are following this all in real time. Each minute matters in this movie, and the way that Jason Reitman is able to establish that clearly from the beginning of the movie made for an effective film that made you feel a lot of the feelings that these characters are going through and the stress that they feel. And I think that does help hammer home the point that the film is ultimately trying to make, which is the spirit of creativity and what someone is willing to do to get their vision across, as well as showcase what Saturday Night Live was supposed to be about when it first began 50 years ago, with this new age of comedy and really changing the landscape in the way that people watch television, with these up and coming comedians that really want to change the way that things are and establish a new era in television. And that is something that is actually really missing from Saturday Night Live now. So it does feel a little bit sad, as we've seen that show become very much the establishment when initially it was fighting against that. So there is a little bit of tragedy there if you look at how Saturday Night Live has actually turned out in real life. But there is also something really sweet about it. As you see someone fighting for their vision, it means so much to them. And we know how much of a behemoth this vision is going to become, but a lot of the characters don't know that yet. And to see that does make for a very interesting film at times. I do think this film is consistently engaging. I was never bored. I was on the ride that these characters wanted to take me on. And I think when it tried to find moments of poignancy, I do think it found it. It is very different to some of Jason Reitman's other work like Juno, but it works. I really loved what it managed to achieve here. I think the film is great, even though it does have a couple of hiccups with it taking a little bit too long to get to the point and does struggle to justify its existence in the beginning of the film. It does pick up a nice rhythm. It can be funny at times. It manages to pull off some great dramatic moments. And even though you don't fully get to connect with everyone in this ensemble, there are a couple that you do connect to, that will make you laugh, that will have you on the journey with them. And I think that's a testament to the pretty great direction from Jason Reitman, the amazing editing, and some pretty solid writing to go along for the ride. I think as this film builds, I thought it got better and better, and I really, really liked it, and I highly recommend you check it out if you haven't seen it yet. As a score, I'm going to give Saturday Night a pretty solid 4 out of 5. I think it's a great film that is totally worth your time. And those are my thoughts towards Saturday Night. If you've seen the movie, let me know what you think about it in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.